Welcome to Day Zero Update for July 19th, 2026. I'm your host, Chris Elogi.
I'm Brandon Parkins.
And I'm Janra Victoria.
And yeah, we've got a good crew this week with a bunch of stuff to talk about, as well as some news. Mostly not terrible, which is saying something. But we do still have some bad news, some layoffs and such. Luckily, nothing as big as the Xbox layoffs last week. But we still have some news on that, so we'll get to that stuff a little bit later. But before we do that, we'll talk about what we've been playing, and I will kick it off here. I've been playing eBaseball Pro Spirit 2026, the most naturally named baseball game I've seen in a while.
Good lord.
Because Konami, in light of not having ideas for names, just put E in front of whatever sport they are making things about. So there's eFootball and now eBaseball. That have, a free-to-play element to it. You can get a thing that's just called eBaseball Pro Spirit that is free-to-play. It's mostly multiplayer and I think exhibition. But now they put out this $60 game called eBaseball Pro Spirit 2026. That is their yearly realistic baseball game. They put that out, and also a cartoonish sort of arcadey game that's called, I think, whatever, Powerful Pro. What the other one's called, Power Pros, I think. That came out on the Wii once as an MLB licensed thing, but they haven't brought that over. This is their more realistic one with actual players in it. Has a bunch of modes in it, from your basic exhibition all the way up to a franchise mode that they call Seasons. And then there's a career mode called, I think, Rising Star, I think is what it's called, which is the one I've been playing the most. Make your player, which has an okay character creator. It's pretty hard to make a non-Japanese player, mostly due to eyes. It has too many eye options, so I cannot find the non-Asian eyes in there. For whatever I can tell, at a certain point they just all blur together. But they give you different naming options for your player's name, so you get different ones you can put up on your the lineup sheet, and also on the big board, scoreboard thing. And I didn't realize what I was putting names on, so now my lineup name is just my first name. So that's a fun way that I know when I'm playing in the game. But you make your character, you pick a team to try to join, and they give you 3 games. And I was told if I got 6 hits in those 3 games, I would join the main team. But then I got 2 total over 3 games. So I was sent down to the farm team. And the thing about that is the farm teams don't exist. You don't get sent to a minor league team like we have here. You just get sent to a version of the main team where you are playing, games that don't really matter. They don't keep track of standings or anything like that. They do keep track of your stats. And right now I'm doing okay. I'm hitting 230, 240, something like that. Starting to get some good home runs going, because when you make your player, you pick positive traits. You can also pick negatives to get more points to pick positive traits. So I picked a thing called Bungler. So I'm bad at bunts, which I'm not going to do anyway. So I was like, that's okay for that. And so you get a little bit of stat stuff you can do. There's social stats, and it's a little bit of Persona-esque kind of things. When you get free day, you can pick a person that you have on your quote-unquote friends list, which includes people on your team as well as people that aren't on your team. So some of those are business guy for the team, a journalist, um, a couple of coaches I got on there as well. And so you can pick, a person to hang out with, and you try to pick different activities, some of which are just practice. Others are just like, oh, we'll hang out and watch sports. And you pick different kinds of sports. Like one of the early ones I had was wrestling. So I found a guy that really liked wrestling, and just whenever I hang out with him, that's all we do. And you get to try to fill up your friendship meter with them. And if you do, you get to pick another like attributes, ability booster thing for your player. So that kind of stuff feeds into your ability to earn XP and all that faster, I guess. Potentially work your way back up to the main team at some point. So that is kind of an interesting way that they're doing things here. But yeah, you occasionally get like goals. I got a game where it's like, just get me a hit. Coach was telling me, and I was like, all right, I'll try and do that. And that's easier said than done, at least in batting, because the way they're doing batting here is cursor based, kind of similar to one that they have in MLB The Show, where you have like a basic swing and a power swing, and the like cursor on those shrinks for the power swing. So you really kind of need to nail it. And the nice thing is they show you an icon of where the ball is going to go. So if it's like a breaking pitch or something like that, it will move around a bit. So you're kind of trying to nail that. And based on how close you are, you might, hit a ground ball if it's higher than the where the pitch is at, or a fly ball if it's lower. Or if you mess it up even more, you might hit a foul ball or something like that. So there's a lot of like strategy to that there, and also plenty of opportunity to just mess it up. So yeah, there's a good bit there. I might start another player and pick a pitcher, because I do like the pitching mechanic to this game, which it has a weird UI element to this where you're using the left stick to push in one of like five, maybe it's like six directions. It's sort of like a half circle kind of thing where you got, east, west, south, and north, but then also southwest and southeast that pitches can be put at, and sometimes you have extra pitches that you have to hit a button to get the alternate pitch there. And so you pick one of those, they all have ratings to them that are all letter ratings, so all the way from F to A, sort of the effectiveness of that pitch. But based on where you're putting it, you kind of get this shrinking circle around where the pitch is going to go. And if you get it, the ring locked in right, so you get a perfect pitch. Otherwise, how close you are is kind of how accurate it's going to be to that area. And there's a whole thing with if you're pitching, high speed pitches, the batter will acclimate to that. So you kind of want to mix up your pitches, your fast and slow pitches, and kind of keep them guessing with that. So that's another element to that. And this game doesn't seem like it has the need to warm up pitchers or anything. So there's a vibe to this, for as much as there's some nuance that you might expect out of like a simulation kind of game. This, I would say, is probably more of an arcadey baseball game to a degree. So you're just not really able to hit the ball in any sort of like ridiculous manner, at least. Though while I was having like fielding stuff in the career mode, I was not able to pick the position I wanted to be. I wanted to be a first baseman. They did not offer like a perk thing to focus on that. They had for second baseman, shortstop, and third baseman, but first baseman wasn't there, so I picked infielder. So I get moved around a bit. But unlike MLB The Show, where you generally have options to say like, hey, don't put me into field if I'm not likely to have to field a pitch or a hit ball. But here, the options they have, I think, is to either be out there all the time or you end up kind of being out there for good stretches. And so the way that things were going at a certain point before I turned that off and just made it automatically deal with it, is I would just see the other team getting hit after hit, home run after home run. We would get destroyed in a bunch of these games, while I barely ever was in a position to actually field the ball. So that stuff kind of just feels pretty poor in that instance. So luckily you can turn them off and just have them auto do it. Like I have that for base runnings. I just did not want to deal with that here, and ended up not wanting to deal with the fielding. Maybe if I was a different position, maybe, but I was doing a lot of second baseman and shortstop stuff. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with this. So yeah, there's that. There's a mode that's a high school management thing. You're managing a high school team trying to win the national champions, whatever trophy, and that one seems like it's more focused on managing the players rather than playing it. You're dealing with a bunch of extra weird stuff on top of that. Yeah, what else was there? There's 2 online modes that are like managing or playing like tournaments with your team. That is kind of a little bit card based, almost sort of like an ultimate team, but I think less focused on the card stuff. It's more you're leveling up these players and then potentially going to feed them to other ones to power up other players and all that kind of weird stuff that is going on. That has some gotcha elements to it. Yeah, there's other modes I haven't had a chance to check out. When I was trying to play some the first day, the servers were down all day for maintenance. I didn't necessarily get to check out some of the ones that require an internet connection. There's also another card one in that purports to be like, what if you're doing poker instead of baseball stuff? And I was like, I don't know what that is. Especially in Japanese game design fashion, it starts with a lot of text to try to explain like what you're getting into. And so once it got to enough descriptions, I was like, if I can bail out, I'll bail out because I'm going to try something else that doesn't require as much explanation. There's some of that to it, but yeah, so far I've not seen any microtransactions. They have stuff you can buy from an online shop, but it uses currency that you earn for just playing the game. So I don't know if they're going to add any of that at a later point. But yeah, so far I'm liking this a lot. There's definitely elements that I don't like. And definitely there's a lack of accessibility to it. Like there's no alternate pitching or batting options for this game. You're either figuring it out with the mechanics they give you, or you're not playing it. Basically, is what they're doing there. So, but yeah, seeing like another big baseball game. This has been pretty fun to see somebody else's take on, a more realistic-ish kind of baseball game compared to MLB The Show. So that's been nice. And that's that. That's out on PS5 and PC. I don't know that they're going to be bringing that to any more platforms at the moment. So, but that's what they've got so far. I've been playing more Power Wash Simulator 2 because the new Star Wars DLC is out. Which I've beaten the first 2 jobs. This is a $10 DLC compared to the usual $8 DLC. And sort of to go along with that, it includes 6 jobs instead of the usual 5. So for whatever reason, they're keeping the 10 achievements inclusion for those 6 jobs. So there's 1 for your completing each of the jobs, and there's only 4 others for doing a special thing during the jobs. So that's a bit of a shame, considering it's Steam. You don't necessarily have to abide by any achievement rules there. I don't know that the other platforms are really enforcing anything either. But it seems to be centered around, at least for the early jobs, centered around episode 4
Mm-hmm.
at first because you're cleaning out the moisture farm that Owen Lars is running. And this is sort of set before the events of episode 4, at least just before. So I was like jumping into this, looking forward to seeing what this was because that's a part of the movie that I feel like probably a lot of people don't really pay much attention to that area
Mm-hmm.
because it's just kind of like this circular home with this weird machinery in the middle of it, and then you see like a little bit of a kitchen, um, in whatever room Luke is, doing maintenance on R2 and C3PO
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And I found like stuff in here. I was like, I don't remember this. There's like a P-16 Skyhopper little like ship toy thing, and I started watching episode 4 while I was doing this. It's like, oh, there it is. Well, 3PO is getting dipped in the oil. He's just sitting here holding his spaceship that I don't think ever really appears in Star Wars, at least the movies. It's like a little weird looking ship, but he's just playing around with this because he's bored while he's dealing with these dumb little droids. But you can go around and like find the kitchen that Aunt Beru is hanging out in for a bit, and find the dispensers that the blue milk apparently comes from. Because they don't have jugs or anything for this stuff. It's a dispenser. Which I guess if it's a desert planet, a lot of stuff you probably have in some sort of containers that keep it cold. I guess
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Nobody ever really describes whether it's like our milk or if it's just a blue drink
Mm.
or whatever. But yeah, there's like the area there in the kitchen, and I was like paying attention to that when they show that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where all this stuff is, and these weird little cupboards and all that. Like, okay, this is neat, and see the like washroom kind of looking thing that might be their bathroom. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You see like where Luke's room is at, and where the master room bedroom is at, and all that. And it's like, all right, I see this. Luke's got the shitty room that has like the worn down stairs. It almost looks like you just slide down or
Mm-hmm.
fall over and break your neck or something. So there's a good amount of detail in there, and there's a couple of droids hanging out. One of them you wash, and it just walks around in a circle around the building. So
Mm-hmm.
that's fun. And also, you can put stuff in its way, and it just gets kind of sad. It has to stop. So there's that.
Mm.
Then I went to the Mos Eisley Cantina, where a big mess has happened. Han Solo contacts you, and he tells you that he's going to pay you to clean this up. If you remember from the movie, the guy that runs the bar does not like droids. Does not want them in his
Mm-hmm.
bar. And you are a droid, cleaning droid call. I guess I was saying POW2, but Luke calls you P0. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't like that. That's PEE0. And I'm like, well, you didn't do that to 3PO. He gets, when his name's written out in text, is PIO. That had me laughing at that. So, but yeah, kind of went through that bar, cleaned out a bunch of stuff. There's some Sabak chips, cards, and chips, and all this kind of stuff from people doing all sorts of gambling and whatnot in there. So that makes for a pretty fun thing to kind of go around in. Then you can kind of crouch your way into the behind the bar itself and clean up all the gunk and all that's in there. That's pretty fun. And the machines there are making lots of gurgling noises
Mm-hmm.
as whatever's going on there is happening. And yeah, along the way you get messages from the bar owner. I think his name is like Sherma or something like that, who is like complaining about droids in his bar, and the Wookiee that is helping you out for this is like, no, he's cleaning the bar, he's doing a good job. He's like, all right, whatever, as long as it gets done, kind of thing. So yeah, from what the other achievements there's gonna be some more fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaning up some of the things you would want to clean in the first Probably the first two jobs, movies there.
Mhm.
So there's X-wing, the Millennium Falcon, the AT-AT, and the Super Star Destroyer bridge. I'm not sure where that is. Because I think after the Cantina job, you get picked up by the Empire, the
Mhm.
Imperials. Um, they make these are not the droids you're looking for joke there. But then the guy's like, oh, you may not be the droids we're looking for, but you're taking you in anyway. We got work for you. So they're making you deal with it anyway. So yeah, that's been pretty fun so far.
Mhm.
Luckily, no music, so streaming it is fine. But those games never really have any music. Um, then I got Terra Tech Legion from the summer sale, and I've been playing that a bit. I think it's only on Steam at the moment. It
Mhm.
is a auto shooting survival game where you're piloting a vehicle
Mhm.
that kind of can be modified in a very like Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts kind of manner, where you can collect pure blocks to kind of alter the shape of the vehicle as needed. If you like need more space to put more wheels on it or more weapons or store
Mhm.
extra stuff on it, that stuff kind of is pretty cool. You also pick up crates that will randomly uh, drop random items in sort of the genre fashion. You get choice of three.
Mhm.
Though you can get perks that will limit those choices or other bonuses.
Mhm.
Um, that makes for some nice little strategy there. But they added a big updates this past week that I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of. That they call XP for all, so you would get XP at the end of the
Mhm.
your run, whether it's successful or not. That would be just for the character you were using. I guess enough people complained about it that now you can use XP for any of the characters. So you don't necessarily have to build up a character to a certain point, I guess, to be viable in like later uh, planets you can go on. But I would probably be fine with that for myself.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the choice, the change they made. Because like a lot of those games, there's meta upgrades you can do between runs to improve stats and such, so you kind of start off a little bit better than you were the previous run,
Mhm.
kind of stuff, and have various challenges and such that you can do to get more of that currency. I finally had my first successful run, which was on the first planet, and beat it with the second character that is one of the three challenges for that stage. So luckily got two of the three done. Um, the other one requires me to, I think, take out two of the bases that are on that map,
Mhm.
which I haven't done yet, but probably will eventually. But I've been enjoying that a lot so far.
Mm.
Kind of enjoying trying out different builds and trying out different types of weapons and such. They highlight the ones that you haven't picked before, so you get uh, an easier way to tell like when you haven't tried out some things, and it all works pretty well. Um,
Mhm.
you do get some weapons that are like 360-degree range of shooting, but if you have
Mhm.
other weapons on that same plane of your vehicle, it will get
Mhm.
blocked from shooting in those directions. So that's where you can use some of the extra blocks you have to put it up higher.
Mhm.
Then it can get 360 range kind of stuff, so you kind of get some silly looking vehicles at a certain point
Mm.
that just have shots going out in all directions constantly, as well as like things you can put on the front of your vehicle or really any part of your vehicle to slam into enemies for impact damage and explosive weapons and all that kind of fun stuff. That one's been pretty fun to jump
Mhm.
around in and mess around with. So there's that. And then I've been enjoying playing some more of my Superstation 1, getting retro achievements. I
Mm.
finally got that set up through the Mr. Companion app that somebody made
Mhm.
that essentially makes some of the setup a little bit easier for this. For
Mhm.
whatever reason, it missed one file that was supposed to put in there.
Mm.
That took me a bit to figure out what the issue was, and when I realized it, I had put this configuration file from the one person's GitHub in there and edited it with my username and password for retro achievements, and that ended up working immediately. So that was a bit frustrating. It was such a simple thing, but been playing a good bit on there, especially once I got the hardcore mode turned on, because they've made that more of a requirement for doing like a lot of the leaderboard stuff. Because the casual or softcore mode, I think they call it, allows you to use save states and all that kind of stuff. So there's some options there for, potentially cheating. And so the playing in hardcore mode kind of has more limits to it. No save states, no rewind, none of that stuff to it. So they got that working on the Superstation 1, and I've been using that a good bit and playing some games here and there. Like I was playing some Dr. Mario because I didn't realize I wasn't playing that in hardcore mode. If you play that on the lowest difficulty and the lowest speed, that's a pretty easy way to get a bunch of achievements. It's like one for each level you play. Same for all the other difficulties, but you can sort of get that initial thing going. And in hardcore mode, they have leaderboards for each stage or each level, and sort of how few pills you can use for completing it. Which like initially I was not ranking too high on that, but once I got 10 to 12 levels in, I was generally in like the top 10% at a certain point, because that's where it makes it easier to fail on that kind of stuff with all the pills you're trying to break up. So that was fun. I was jumping into put more PS1 games on my Superstation 1 and like finding more stuff that had achievements to it. So like played a little bit of Jade Cocoon, Story of the Tamamayu, which is I would bet maybe one of the only JRPGs on the system with tank controls, which is not a thing you expect out of that genre. Let's see, I was playing some of Animorphs Shattered Reality, a bad 3D platformer on there based on the Animorphs, which was alright otherwise. It's not super hard, but you're doing a lot of platforming, collecting these coins to get more, they're Mario style coins, so you're getting 1-ups and all that, and then it runs into like, here's the thing where you're gonna fight some aliens, and it's like 1 or 2. Not even like making it much of a challenge there. But yeah, there's that like Beyond the Beyond, which was an interesting little JRPG. It was like an early PS1 JRPG from Sony. That was neat. That was also a Camelot game. And so that was a fun little thing I was playing. Some of Diablo, which works pretty well for a PS1 port of a PC game like that, though it has a bunch of achievements for killing, X amount of skeleton enemies, X amount of fallen enemies, X amount of zombie enemies, that kind of stuff. That all has to be done in a session, which is a little frustrating when I'm not necessarily wanting to play a ton of it at any one time. So I'm thinking about just restarting a character on that to just play until I complete a bunch of those. Especially ones you're going to play early on. Played some other stuff like Dragon Quest on the NES, or technically Dragon Warrior, which is a game that is pretty easy to get into. So it's also one of those kind of games that you're kind of just allowed to just wander around. That was kind of part of it. Just wander around and grind, and you'll eventually find the thing you're supposed to do. You don't want to sit there and talk to every character and have somebody tell you what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
That's a game I would just get a guide, so I just know where I'm supposed to go, and then I'll just grind a bunch on the way where I'm supposed to go for that kind of stuff. I played some Chuck Rock on the Super Nintendo, which is a game I owned. It was a core design game, so the Tomb Raider people
Mm-hmm.
one of their Super Nintendo games, and it's a not great uh, platformer action game kind of thing. And I got to the second world, and I don't know that I ever did that before. I did not recognize any of the enemies or the level stuff going on there, so that was fun. Um, and I jumped into like Aquanauts Holiday. That's not a game to jump into without a guide or something. I did not
Mm-hmm.
know what to do in any of it. That was not a game to play for some easy achievements if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, that was kind of my jumping into a bunch of that stuff. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. So how about you, Brandon?
Well, as for me, I am still playing Splatoon 3 because Splatoon Raiders comes out this week, and I'm trying to get ready for that. And funny thing is, apparently a lot of other people have the same idea. Because I'm seeing a lot of new players recently. The thing that you have to remember is Splatoon Raiders, if you've seen the previews or anything, a lot of the gameplay is essentially based around Salmon Run, which is one of the co-op modes in Splatoon. Basically, where you and three other people go out to like a garbage island or like a leftover ruin or whatever, and you're basically put in charge of collecting golden fish eggs. And there's like a quota, there's usually 3 waves to go through, stuff like that. And you're basically just get constantly overwhelmed with a bunch of enemies, some of which are more annoying than others. Well, a lot of new people have started showing up on Salmon Run over the last few days, actually last couple of weeks to be frank. And on the one hand, it's like cool, bunch of new people discovering the game, so awesome. On the other hand, a bunch of new people discovering the game and bringing my rating down because we keep getting our asses kicked in the first wave. But to be fair, I mean the game is like gloriously unbalanced, so you kind of just go in with that understanding. It takes practice. But yeah, other than that, I'm still doing my second playthrough of Deltarune, specifically trying to go back and get all the secret stuff, specifically the secret bosses. I've been playing Chapter 3 the last couple of days, which is the one that takes place entirely in a TV. And the what's really neat about about that one is because a bunch of that particular chapter takes place in a game within a game. The actual like secret stuff also takes place in a game within a game, but it's like a creepypasta version of Legend of Zelda, where it's like almost completely quiet. You get a sword that you can use to kill a bunch of stuff, and you slowly get stronger to go through barriers. And it's got all this creepy shit that's happening on the same time. And basically, you're doing it all so that you can get the I think it's called the Shadow Chorus or something like that. That you can put on as armor, so you can use it when you go up against the Black Knight later on in that chapter. Because you end up getting like the Dark Shard, which is like what gets is like the secret collectible for these games. Um, but without the secret item, it's damn near impossible to fight them. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. Obviously, when Splatoon Raiders, I finally get that on Thursday. That's pretty much going to be my gaming for the next couple weeks, probably. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So, Dan Red, what about you?
Yeah, for me, as I mentioned last week, I was playing through a lot of Adventures of Elliot, and I actually beat it that night. So yeah, the ending, the true ending, is for all intents and purposes, probably like one of the best endings I've seen in any RPG in a long time. It is very satisfying, especially considering like all the characters that you were helping, and you end up learning the truth about Elliot. And that's really all I'm going to say about that. The main thing that I want to mention is that the main way you unlock it is, not really by doing all the side quests, but pretty much like doing what's there. And like the problem with them is that they're also really, really involved. Like all of a sudden you have to go to the age of budding, and then all of a sudden go to a different age, and then from there go to a different age. And it feels like a lot of busy work, especially since like the warp points within time periods aren't always going to be put in the same place. So you'll find yourself doing like a lot of fairly useless walking in order to get from one place to another. Like that's something that a lot of RPGs, especially with ones that don't that have a lot of side quests, don't really seem to balance well. Like, I mean, how often do you come across, uh, this person who wants you to, talk to another person, and it turns out like that person is just in the next town over. There are some games that'll allow you to just go ahead and jump there, whereas with the Adventures of Elliot, more often than not, while that is an option sometimes, you'll usually just have to like go there yourself. Whether that means walk there by foot or fast travel somewhere. That's something that's really hard getting used to, and it's a lot of like busy work, but at the same time, like I mentioned, like it's all worth it. The different end boss you get is pretty cool. There's just this pretty awesome like fourth wall breaking meta that happens um with your fairy companion, and yeah, it's just a really, really cool experience, and I totally recommend it. So it took me around like 25 hours to roll credits at that point. And I think the first time I rolled credits in the game, like it was probably 5 hours before that. So the cool thing about all this is you can unlock all three endings in one playthrough, so you don't really have to like waste time and go back all the time. And then after you beat after you get the true ending, you also unlock the new game plus. I'm not someone that dabbles in that, but anyway, it was cool to go ahead and get through that. I've also been playing a lot of Rhythm Heaven Groove. This one came out, I think it was 4th of July weekend, and yeah, I've really been enjoying it so far. I've already rolled credits. If you haven't played a Rhythm Heaven game before, it's uh, a rhythmatic game. Like it's very the vibes are very similar to that of like a WarioWare. Like every mini game there is pretty quick, though not as quick as a WarioWare game. And basically, they just rely on your ability to find the beat and go ahead and act upon it. So every mini game you play, pretty much shows you how to play it. Like they'll show you they'll just show you the basics, and then they'll throw another curveball at you to make it a little bit harder. And then there's one more practice where you combine everything you learn before you actually do the whole thing. And when you actually do the level for real, you're often guided by like an actual song, and like almost every song in the game are bangers, and that's pretty much what Rhythm Heaven has always been known for. Um, there are 8 worlds. They're not really worlds. They're more like levels, and each of these levels has 4 sublevels in it. And after you beat each one of those 4 levels, you go into a remix where you play like one song, and it combines every aspect from the 4 mini games that you just played. And then once you beat level 6, you essentially beat the game. Like you roll credits, but you also unlock 2 more worlds that are harder versions of some of the world or some of the levels you've played already. And like, yeah, like those have been hell to go through. And the one thing about this game is that after you finish each level, you're sort of given a rating that doesn't really tell you that much, because for the most part, it's really hard to fail. But as you get towards the end of the game, or not really the end of the game, but you get to the harder things, um, you fail to an extent where they say, yeah, go ahead and try again. So it's try again, and then pretty good, and then very good, and then really good, and then perfect. I don't have any perfects in the game so far, but yeah, aside from that, like I've really been enjoying everything I've played. This is definitely something that I'll be reviewing this week. So go ahead and look forward to that one. Really enjoyed that one. If this ends up being like the last Switch One game they release, then so be it. It's also a budget title. I think it retails for around $40. I bought this physically at Target. So yeah, definitely pick that one up. And then I've been playing a little bit more College Football 27. I've gone through the second year of Road to Glory. Like Chris, I'm using a quarterback. My quarterback is based on WWE superstar Cody Rhodes. I ended up going to Notre Dame and not playing my first season at all. The second season, I stayed with the roster, became the starter, and won the Heisman. And now I've transferred to my own alma mater, San Jose State, and we'll see how that goes. I normally play Road to Glory for about 3 seasons before moving on to Dynasty. So, yeah, I've been really enjoying it in that regard. In regards to the actual gameplay of the game, I haven't seen nearly as many problems as Chris has, but also like Chris played like much earlier than I was, and I wasn't really paying much attention to the CPU stuff then. But I did notice a lot of the stats being wrong. Where, for example, it's like, all right, yeah, if this person is averaging this many yards allowed, it's not a good thing. It doesn't make that team better. So that can definitely be confusing. I have seen situations where my quarterback threw an interception only for our coach to be celebrating. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, like hopefully these little things can be improved along the way. They definitely did that with some of the gross microtransaction stuff that concerned offline play. So yeah, hopefully they continue to listen to feedback and continue to make the game better because last year's game, in my opinion, was like the best football game I had played up to that point. And then when Madden came out, I felt like Madden was better, but also Madden got worse throughout the season, especially in regards to defense. As I've mentioned a lot in previous podcasts, like I play in a league with other people in games media, and it started off with games being low scoring, but almost like every single one of our games now has over 100 points scored because defense is that impossible to play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Madden finally coming out and seeing if the defensive game in college football comes there. But the main thing is it definitely feels faster. I do get more confused with the button layout because for some reason the default not the default but the suggested plays are often flipped, even when I don't want them to be. So that's something I have to like adjust in the settings. But yeah, it's definitely been enjoying so far. It's more college football, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I also like how they updated the trophy lists. I platinumed the last 2 games, and honestly, they had the same trophy list this time. They've added more that has to do with actual gameplay. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can choose those. But that's about it there. I've started a little bit of backyard baseball. I'm playing this one on PC. It hasn't released on console yet, and I've only gotten through the tutorial, but it's pretty fun. Uh, Hitting is pretty cool. You pretty much just like have a shadow of the ball show up in the hitting area, and you have to time your hits properly. You also have a bunch of different hits that you can do. And then in regards to like, stealing bases or running to base, like those are all options that you have in the game. And it's just very approachable, which is something that baseball games need, especially since like MLB the show really has no competition. I'm not saying backyard baseball is going to end up being competition, but at the same time, it's like it's nice to have a more approachable baseball game available. And then last but not least, I've also been playing a lot of Dench Attack. I've played the game for about maybe an hour now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The vibes are uh, a lot of people are comparing it to Jet Set Radio. It's not really that. If anything, like um, the vibe I'm getting is close to Hi-Fi Rush, except not really having anything to do with rhythm. It's just the visual style and the way the game treats itself. Like it starts off with a pretty funny story mechanic where they talk about all of the cities being enclosed in their own domes, and then they say, "Yeah, we don't care about any of that. We care about like the fishermen and the delivery people who live outside these domes," and that's where the dench attackers come in. And basically, a dench attacker is somebody that like uh, drives a bus, on train, or not a bus, but a train on train tracks, and like does all these cool tricks and whatnot. And yeah, it's very unreally, it has that vibe. Right as the train turns, you have to make sure that you're drifting the right way, and then the drifting is pretty much similar to Sonic Racing, where you just want to make sure that the gate hits the green. You want to make sure that you're jumping on the right track so you don't crash. Yeah, you're making sure that you're also jumping above and landing as soon as possible, or timing them whenever that may be. And um, all of the button layouts for this one are pretty cool. My main thing right now, though, is that I've been playing it on Steam Deck. I don't really have a method of playing this on TV. I do have a Steam Dock that I haven't used in a while, so I'm gonna try that out so I can try it out with an Xbox controller. But yeah, I'm still in World 1, and I'm loving just the high-paced arcade, almost Tony Hawk'y action in here, and it's been really, really fun. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, so yeah, let's get to some news. And first up here with a new month. We got some new additions to the PlayStation Plus game catalog.
Mm.
These are like last month, stretched out a bit over the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for the things that's available to extra and premium members.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, there's one that's available now. Yeah, Rise of the Ronin for PS5. This is the most, or I guess second most recent Sony published Team Ninja game.
Mm-hmm.
This one's set in sort of a big open world version of 19th century Japan. You're playing, a Ronin that is going around and trying to stop the bad guys, I guess,
Yep.
throughout the area.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty fun one of those.
Yep.
So yeah, that's one you can check out. That's available now. Other ones here that are available as of the 21st on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
For PS5, there's Avatar Frontiers of Pandora.
Yep.
This is the big first-person action-adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
I think set after the second movie.
The Way of Water? Yeah.
I think so.
Mm.
Because, this came out a couple years ago before the Fire one.
Yep.
So, yeah, that one seems like a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not one that a bunch of people wanted to buy. So,
Mm.
you can check that out on PlayStation Plus.
Mm.
Let's see, also on July 21st, Firefighting Simulator Ignites for the PS5. This is one of those simulators, but set around firefighting, when you can play with up to 3 other people or with NPCs if you want to play solo. So yeah, they thought this is having, great visuals and all that as an Unreal Engine 5 game, so curious to check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, on the 28th, I think the rest of these are on the 28th here. We got for the PS5 and PS4, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind. This is a 2D beat 'em up game set in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers universe. Seems pretty cool. Just never got around to buying it, so I'll definitely have to check this one out. So yeah, that'll be on the 28th, so the last Tuesday of the month. Let's see, for July 28th for the PS4, Dying Light, original Dying Light. That was the game made by the people that made Dead Island.
Yep.
Who decided to go make a new one of those. It's similar but more focused on parkour and all that. That one's supposed to be pretty good. Let's see, also on July 28th for the PS5, Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. Follow up to the original Citizen Sleeper with some more stuff kind of going on here. It's kind of what if you had a bit more of a cyberpunk kind of thing going on in the space station, but you got dice rolls and all this kind of stuff for how you're making your decisions. That makes for some pretty good need to be able to improvise what you're trying to do. So it's a pretty good one of those. And also for July 28th on the PS5, Snow Bros Wonderland. This is like a new entry in the Snow Bros series. It was like an arcade game originally and all that. So that's one you can check out. And that's it for extra and premium. For the classic stuff that is just for premium members for PS5 and PS4, there's PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy. One of those fairly well regarded sort of B games on the PS2 that has this neat idea of these PsyOps powers that essentially allow you to manipulate objects with like psychic abilities to throw around and knock out enemies and all that kind of stuff. So that's one that's pretty good. It's just clunky enough that it's not a great game. But that'll be available on Tuesday, the 21st. And the other one here is just the PS4 version of Indigo Prophecy. It's coming to the classic, so Yeah, this is from Quantic Dream, one of their earlier games before they made Heavy Rain. This was sort
Mm-hmm.
of their game in that kind of style. But before that, so I think it came out on the PS2 and Xbox and PC back in the day. And so it's a pretty good one of those, but also has some questionable elements of that. So yeah, that's also available on this Tuesday, the 21st. So you can check those out. Brandon, anything there you're looking forward to checking out?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind the Avatar game if it wasn't for the fact that, it's an Ubisoft project, and we all know how Ubisoft games are. Um, yeah, and Rise of the Ronin, I'm definitely going to look into that one as well. Uh, yeah, that's about it.
How about you, Dana?
Yeah, Avatar is a game I've had my eye on for a while. I've been waiting for the game to hit $15, and it actually did on some occasions, but I never brought myself to buying it. I've heard that it's pretty much Far Cry, and honestly, like that's not a bad thing. I enjoy Far Cry, and I don't know if you actually fly any of these like Navi dragon thingies in the game, but that could seem pretty cool. The other one that interests me is Power Rangers Readers Rewind. That is a game that like back when it first came out, we were promised a review code for, and it never happened. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just wait for it to show up on one of these things, and here it is. So I'll probably jump in then. I do have interest in Rise of the Ronin, but I also realize I do have an unopened physical copy. So there goes that one.
Yep. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, for some stuff coming up, we finally have a date for the Dusk Bloods closed network test that they're having happen here during the summer. The signups will start on July 22nd, and the network test will be happening August 21st to the 23rd. And yeah, these are going to be some rough times, depending on what you're doing those days. So it looks like the 21st, yeah, they're set times. It seems like 4-hour chunks over the course of those 3 days. So on the 21st, there's 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific time, which will be 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time as well on the 21st, so that's 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So there's that. Then on the 22nd, there's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So the afternoon there. I'm trying to see what days of the week these are. Okay, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Saturday is an afternoon thing, then Sunday is the same 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. and a 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. shifts. So yeah, only 5 shifts there for that, and that's, yeah. You might be able to luckily check out like 1 or 2 of those that weekend, but yeah. That's the only way you're going to be able to check that out ahead of launch, whenever that's going to be. So yeah. There you go.
Mm. Yeah. I'm interested to see how that's going to be received. Because the Dustbloods, remember, that is as far as we know, a Switch exclusive, and Switch 2 exclusive, and Nintendo doesn't have the best track record when it comes to online stuff.
Yeah. Neither does From Software.
They don't have the best track record, but it's also like nowhere near as problematic as it was with the Switch One or
yeah, that's true.
Like yeah, obviously like it's not as good as PlayStation or Xbox, but like you haven't really heard like people really complaining about anything. Especially even like talking about things like Splatoon or Mario Kart. Like people haven't really had connection issues anymore. It's more of the fact that it's hard to add friends because this friend system sucks and things like that. But yeah, this is going to be interesting mainly because we mentioned that it's going to be a Switch exclusive, but also From Software hasn't really had much of a reason to support Nintendo, but at the same time, like with everything going on right now with everybody else, like developing for Nintendo is not a bad idea right now. So yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're getting paid to. But yeah, we got that. We also had another September release that decided they did not want anything to do with that backlog of games coming out at the end of the month. and has moved up, which is Hot Wheels Infinite Rush. It was supposed to be out September 24th and is now coming out September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be on everything PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2, PC, with the paid early access being on September 7th as a result. So, yeah, anybody interested in that new Hot Wheels game will be able to get it 2 weeks early.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one to check out.
Mm.
Yeah, the last formal Hot Wheels game was actually really good. So I'm not saying I have high expectations for this one, but this one should be pretty solid. Moving up should be a good idea too, just because it's a really crowded month. You would have hoped they moved out of September, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we got some Square Enix news. They announced that they have made available Octopath Traveler and Traveler 2 for the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. But here in the West, it will not be coming out until October 1st, so you can pre-order it. The issue is, if you have played it on the Switch 1, is that there's no free upgrade or paid upgrade path other than paying full price for it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way to transfer saves over. And it seems like the physical release is likely to be game keycards, much like it is in Japan, for games that are, I believe, under the 8 gig limit that the cheapest card is for the Switch 2. So seems like Square Enix going as cheap as possible and not really even offering a paid way to move up without paying full price.
Mm-hmm.
Which this announcement came while the game was also on sale on the Switch 1. So you could get the bundle that is, I think, $75 here for the two of them. For the Switch 1, it was $45. So it was like, you're not going to really get that much of an improvement out of this. I think its resolution and frame rates are a good bit better. But, for $30 difference, just buy it on the Switch 1. And use the extra power to kind of make that a more solid experience there.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to take into account that the original Octopath Traveler was a Switch exclusive before Square decided to go with the whole multi-platform simultaneous route, which is obviously the route to go. As a result, like Octopath Traveler is like the better known out of all of these, and then 2 came out for everybody, so there really isn't that much special about it. But at the same time, like looking at what they've done to these Switch 2 re-releases, all they've really done was improve the resolution, which is lame. So I guess the lack of an upgrade path makes sense in that regard. Obviously, it's done because Square Enix wants the most amount of money possible. But what bothers me the most is that this is available in Japan now for as much as it's available there for. For those of you unaware, 5,500 to 7,000 yen is about $35 to $40 American. So considering the fact that they're budget titles in Japan, but here they cost as much as a full new release right away. Like that to me is the unfortunate thing.
Yeah. And I believe they also released Star Ocean: The Second Story R on the Switch 2 for $50, and again with no save, transfer, or upgrade path. So again, Square Enix doing what they do.
Shadow release there, but yeah, as you mentioned, no upgrade path, and also full price. Pretty lame.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes for a fun whole thing there, and Square Enix just kind of being Square Enix, I guess, and showing that they'll take your full price, whatever, wherever, instead of giving people a better experience for a reasonable price. For that, because don't necessarily expect it to have to be free. So for what they're offering for the Switch 2 version of these games, it seems like it probably should be free. Like reward people for supporting you on the Switch 1. But yeah. So there you go. That's it for our date stuff. We do have some other industry news. Mouse PI for Hire has reached 1 million copies sold, which is great news. Yeah, they said about 50% of sales were on consoles, the other 50% were on PC. So that's a pretty good split there. And yeah, good on them for some success.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean that game was legitimately really good. I'm glad that it's doing as well as it is.
Yeah. So there you go for that. We also got this other news that Dead Space co-creator Glenn Schofield is retiring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so he helped create the Dead Space series, and as they were kind of going multimedia early on with that, he left
Mm-hmm.
before I think Dead Space 2 came out. Um, moved to found his own studio, Sledgehammer Games,
Mm-hmm.
that was an Activision subsidiary that made a number of Call of Duty games and co-developed some with the other studios there, and do some good work there.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, left to go form another studio with Striking Distance Studios that made Callisto Protocol, a
Mm-hmm.
game very much trying to make their own version of Dead Space, but trying to be unique to it, but kind of making a game that's uh, felt like a melee focused Dead Space. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of didn't get win over that many people
Mm-hmm.
to that, so they ended up kind of having to lay off people and do all that kind of fun stuff. He left a few years ago from there,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, seems like he was working at a company called Pinstripe Games for the last 3 years before announcing that he's going to retire. So, hey, good on him for being able to get out,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people are, quote unquote, being forced to retire from the industry
Mm-hmm.
by the virtue of there being not much work out there for people of certain kinds of experience, especially no funding to do your own thing, and just a lot of people not being able to do really progress in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn seemed to be able to at least get enough success there that I hope he has plenty of money to retire, and hang out with his family and do all that. So yeah, that is good to see and wish him all the best.
It's yeah, that particular franchise has it's had a bit of a rocky past. It had two really good games, then EA decided to poke their ass into it and made the disaster that was Dead Space 3. Then it kind of just disappeared for a while, and then it came back, roaring back with that honestly incredible remake. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like the writing was on the wall when Brandon said the Dead Space remake was incredible. At the end of the day, like it didn't make what EA wanted it to make. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
everything that EA says is pretty much overpitched anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was, going back to the Callisto Protocol. I've never played it, but it does seem interesting enough to me. Maybe it could have been a series, but like the main thing there was, it didn't sell well, it didn't score well, and I guess, that kind of meant, is there room for this kind of game anymore? And that's the stuff that Glenn Schofield specializes in. And if he can't pitch any of his work to any studios, why continue? He already made everything that he could possibly make with Dead Space. So, I wouldn't call this a happy retirement, but I wouldn't say he's like
Mm-hmm.
struggling for a job either, because he's already like done what he's supposed to. Granted, like that's also just where our industry is. You can't really make what you want to make if there's no desire for it, or maybe there is a desire, but they're not willing to pay the price that you want for them, and it just sucks. So yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we got some more news here. Games Done Quick had a very successful Summer Games Done Quick event.
Mm-hmm.
Raised, I believe, $2.4 million for Doctors Without Borders. And then immediately, I believe on Monday, announced that they had a sponsored speedrun stream with SNK, to which a number of people were like, wait, what the fuck are you doing with SNK here? The company that's owned by one of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's companies, MISC Foundation, that ended up buying the whole company. Essentially 97% of their stock to own it, pretty much entirely. And, a country that does not support any of the human and trans rights stuff that GDQ purports to support and all this. And yeah, kind of made for a very rough time as, they were promoting the stream as they were doing it on Twitch. Anybody that was posting critical stuff about, SNK and all this, we're getting their messages in the chat deleted and potentially banned from chat as well. It's not a great way to handle things like that. Eventually, people in the higher ups at the company got the message from their community that this wasn't a thing they should be doing. They canceled it in the middle, or they finished one of the runs and then canceled it from there. The fun thing is that it was also streaming on SNK's YouTube channel. So anybody watching from their end just saw that end abruptly without any real explanation for it, and put out a statement saying that, let me see here, we've canceled our sponsor stream with SNK. We have heard the concerns from our community regarding this partnership, specifically the company's majority ownership by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund and the human rights concerns tied to the Saudi government. We will not accept the funds from this sponsorship or continue to work with this sponsor again. GDQ is committed to supporting human rights and inclusivity, and we recognize this partnership conflicted with those values. And yeah, like saying we failed to conduct the level of review our community should expect from us. That was an oversight we deeply regret and take full responsibility for. We especially want to apologize to the runners and our host on this stream who had nothing to do with this decision and whose runs were disrupted as a result. This isn't a reflection on them, and we are grateful for their understanding. And yeah, going forward, we will review and strengthen our process for evaluating future sponsors and partners, including closer examination of companies' ownership to make sure they're aligned with our values. And that seems like a pretty good statement to make, because I feel like an event, a company like this that runs charity events and such, when they're doing partnership with other companies, probably at the base level should just double check who owns them. Like who would be the ones to benefit from this, which, with a lot of the SNK stuff, the people probably proposing these kind of events are probably on the level, but you have to, with a charity, acknowledge that there may be people above them that benefit from this as well, which in this case is the Saudi companies, the MISC Foundation and all that essentially can, use this as a reputation laundering kind of thing. So yeah, GDQ definitely stepped in one here for not paying attention with this stuff, though I'm sure SNK was not that forthcoming with any of those kind of details. Probably, when presenting this, we're not hinting in any way that there was anything nefarious going on.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that this kind of thing gets through more than you might like for people that know that this happened and what SNK is now. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing, but hopefully GDQ does better with this stuff in the future. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation to be in, especially since when it comes to these kinds of deals, the ink was already dry a couple of weeks before this. So you're closing a window. And I get that, yeah, it's not really like the best place to accept money from, but at the end of the day, the money still goes to a good cause. So that's a little rough in that regard. And you also open the doors and the windows to other companies being scrutinized. Maybe not to SNK's point, because SNK is fully owned by the Saudi government, but there are a lot of places in games where they have the same investments, just nowhere near as high as what SNK has. So.
Yeah, it's a thing that should be kept in mind for companies like this, especially when you are so strongly pro, human rights and trans rights like GDQ is throughout their events. So hopefully they're better with that stuff in the future. And speaking of companies not great on this kind of stuff, Microsoft decided to jangle their keys and have Bethesda announce a suite of news about Fallout stuff for the foreseeable future. In the wake of their, huge amount of layoffs and the ones that will be happening over the next year, put out this whole big announcement thing saying they're still working on stuff for Starfield. But yeah, Fallout is kind of the big thing here. As they mentioned, Fallout 5 remains our long-range destination. We have multiple Fallout projects in active development right now. They talk about Fallout 76. Yeah, they say that we have a major Fallout 76 expansion planned for next year. Raven Rock, a prequel story to Fallout 3. Let's see, they said, Fallout 4 celebrated its 10th anniversary and recently passed over 35 million copies sold. We also know many players want to revisit previous Fallout experiences. While we're not announcing any dates today, we have been working on remasters for both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, which have been rumored for a bit. So there's like, we're working on those. So there you go. Fallout Shelter, they mentioned here. I guess they're doing a show. Unscripted Fallout Shelter television project is also in the works with our partners at Amazon Studios and Kilter Films. I believe that's the company that did the other Fallout show. They say production on season 3 is already underway. And while we won't host a traditional Fallout Day broadcast this year, they're planning something special for Fallout's 30th anniversary next year. So they'll celebrate that in Washington, D.C., which I would say maybe don't. With what's in DC right now. But yeah, they also talk about here, we team up once again with our longtime friends at Obsidian Entertainment. They're working with us on a new Fallout project. It's very early on that, so that's going to be a few years off at least. And they say they're working on more Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls 6. They're working on... they're developing Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 on Creation Engine 3. Shared technology platform we've been building since Starfield's launch. So to use a lot of that same kind of stuff there. Fallout 5 is currently in pre-production. Elder Scrolls 6 is their primary development focus today. Yeah, they announced like some new Fallout stuff. None of it's coming anytime soon, it seems. And even Elder Scrolls 6, they're not saying anything on when that's happening either, so that's still a ways off. And so, you could say this is them jangling a shiny set of keys in front of the audience to say, hey, ignore those layoffs we just had. We got shiny new games that you probably won't see until near the end of this decade. Which feels kind of shitty thing to do. Especially getting Todd Howard out there to make statements on this stuff. And it's like, I know that's what you have him for, but this is a poor way of using him. So this just all feels corporate forced from Microsoft to change the narrative a bit. Hopefully people don't fall for it. So there you go.
Yeah, hopefully people don't fall for it, but then again, I'm not going to fault people for being excited for games because like that's what we do. But at the end of the day,
Mhm.
like yeah, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and Microsoft has been like the majority culprit here, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But one thing that I do want to point out is especially when it comes to studios like Bethesda, who like to rest on their own laurels, and they'll be like, "Oh, from the studio that brought you X game or Y game."
Mhm.
Uh, just keep in mind, it's not the same studio anymore.
Nope.
And like that's like the rough thing about just game development. It's not like Hollywood where like cool, we have Christopher Nolan, doing the Odyssey. He's the director who did The Dark Knight, stuff like that.
Mhm.
There aren't as many of those in video games. There's Kojima, there's Miyamoto, there's Miyazaki, and honestly, like even those three aren't really people that like the the average gamer will know, or the average person born at this date will know, because they just don't put themselves up to that pedestal because they usually don't want it, and like maybe they should, but at the same time, it's like you also don't want to have these fake patriarchs, right? So
Mhm.
the weird catch 22 are in here.
Mhm.
Yep. So yeah, we still have some more Microsoft related news. Compulsion Games, now that they're free of Microsoft, is looking for more work.
Mhm.
Besides, whatever new game they're working on, they posted a statement on LinkedIn saying that
Mhm.
they are, yeah, here, let's see. We invite partners to leverage the talent and creativity of the award winning team behind South of Midnight. It was honored with the BAFTA Award, a Peabody Award, 7 Canadian Game Awards, and recognized on multiple Best Games of 2025 lists.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're expanding opportunities to collaborate with studios across the games and entertainment industry.
Mhm.
With deep experience in creating acclaimed original IP, we bring our artistry, technical expertise, and collaborative approach to every project. We're excited to support the development of memorable experiences that engage and entertain players around the world.
Mhm.
So yeah, kind of putting their hat out there that they would like to, work on co-development stuff, support stuff, whatever kind of work they can get to probably support what they're hoping to do for the future.
Mhm.
So yeah, hopefully they get that and don't have to start doing layoffs in the near future because funding is harder to get for studios like this.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's your Compulsion Games news for the
Mhm.
week.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not our only Microsoft story.
And we also have news that some unions have taken legal action against Microsoft
Mhm.
for what they're calling unfair labor practices. Let's see, labor unions in the U.S. and Canada have filed unfair labor practice charges against Xbox maker Microsoft for
Mhm.
allegedly mishandling its latest round of mass layoffs. Yeah, they filed the ULP charge against Microsoft and subsidiaries Xbox, ZeniMax Media, id Software, Bethesda Game Studios, and more for allegedly failing to provide information to labor union communication workers of America and engaging in
Mhm.
bad faith bargaining. So yeah, a number of Xbox workers across key studios have unionized under the CWA banner.
Mhm.
They claim Microsoft also engaged in coercive actions and modified employee contracts by making unilateral changes. CWA filed the ULP against Microsoft and numerous Xbox subsidiaries on July 15th. CWA Canada also intends to take legal action and has accused Microsoft of unlawfully ousting employees at Bethesda Game Studios Montreal.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there you go. Hopefully that helps out in some way. This isn't going to get people's jobs back, so it may get them maybe some more favorable compensation and whatnot out of
Mhm.
that. So, we'll see where that ends up going. So, there you go.
Mhm.
But with the Xbox news out of the way, we still have layoff news, and we got some stories here.
Mhm.
Zaum, makers
Mhm.
of Zero Parades for Dead Spies and
Yeah.
Disco Elysium before that,
Yeah.
has laid off or plans to lay off up to 32 workers
Mm-hmm.
about 2 months after they launched Zero Parades,
Yeah.
because that game just has not done that well since then.
No, and to be completely fair to them, Zero Parades is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it is very clearly trying to ape Disco Elysium long after the creators of Disco Elysium left that company.
Yeah.
And it's like very, very obvious.
Yeah. And sort of the nature of who from the original team is still there
Mm-hmm.
has just been kind of hard to feel great about
Mm-hmm.
when potentially supporting this game.
Yeah.
That has, caused a lot of people to hesitate for a bit to see where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, has just led to this game, getting good reviews and all that, but has not sold that well to keep the studio going.
Yeah, and to be completely frank, it has everything to do with Zone's reputation right now.
Yeah.
That whole ugly story of how the company was basically bought out from under the creators by a couple of, shall we say, venture capitalists, you know, charitably and not, lowballing scammers, and basically, forcing out the original creative team. And it basically, the whole story left pretty much an ugly taste in everybody's mouth. And now nobody trusts that name anymore.
Yeah. Which is what happens when you don't treat the people that make that kind of big game
Hmm.
with the respect they deserve.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some sad news, but hopefully those people can find some work.
Hmm.
Because I believe they're a British studio, if I'm remembering correctly.
So, no, they're from Estonia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking the UK.
No, they're from Estonia.
Okay. Maybe they'll have some better luck there. I don't know.
Mm.
Uh, maybe at some of the companies that their former coworkers founded. So then,
Yeah.
if they're in the place to hire new people, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, we also have 11-bit Studios is
Hmm.
laying off 20 employees. They said they managed to mitigate the amount of layoffs they were doing by moving people to other parts of their company,
Hmm.
so they could find other jobs there. That is at least a brighter spot on that.
Hmm.
But yeah, this comes in the wake of Frostpunk 2,
Hmm.
the launch there, as well as a few other things. Yeah, they canceled a game they were working on back in 2024, laid off some people as a result of that.
Hmm.
Last year, yeah, Frostpunk 2 did fine, but not great as they were probably hoping. And the Alters also
Hmm.
did okay. That one had AI use in it, so plenty of people that weren't happy to find that out. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's unfortunate. And then the last one here I have is an interesting story about a mobile game
Hmm.
called Paw Patrol the Game.
Yeah.
It seems like it should be a huge seller and all that.
Yeah, you would think so.
So this is a free-to-play mobile game that's released on July 6th. Then by Originator Inc.
Hmm.
Then the parent company Spin Master, which also produces the show, laid off the entire studio 2 days later.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, this was found because of posts on LinkedIn. From all that, representative for Spin Master confirmed the layoffs in a statement to game developer here. We made the decision to transition Originator's products and operations to the Sago Mini team in Toronto.
Hmm.
These layoffs come 5 years after Spin Master acquired Originator Inc. $29 million in
Hmm.
2021. That also included control of the Endless educational game series.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of educational apps on phones that have been coming out since 2013. That's also another cash cow to go with Paw Patrol stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, this has just a whole weird situation here with all this. We shut down a studio like this
Mm-hmm.
after releasing a game is just real shit.
Yeah.
So that Spin Master will get all the benefits of this game's release, and the
Mm-hmm.
developers that made it, will get basically none of it.
Mm.
Seems like they got a follow up here. Spin Master representative confirmed that Originator Inc. will continue to exist as a studio, but operations will continue with the aforementioned Toronto team.
Mm-hmm.
He also confirmed, this is a different bit of information, but so a studio will exist under that name, but all the people that were there, I guess, don't. They'll just be an operations hub, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That still seems pretty bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up hiring a bunch of people from around the world that will work cheaper than the people that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of replace them with cheap labor.
Mm.
But yeah, that's also another not great thing to see. So yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That stuff happens in the mobile world too.
Yep.
So yeah, that is gonna do it for the show this week.
Uh-huh.
We'll end on another bummer there.
Yeah.
But that's where the industry is at these days.
Mm.
Yeah. Not even just the mobile world, the mobile world that's actually there to make kids' lives better with education.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're gonna wrap up the show. Thank you to Brendan and Danner for joining this week.
Always.
We'll be back next week with the new slate of news and things to talk about as we reach the end of July and summer continues to progress.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully with less wildfire smoke. We'll see. But yeah, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, feel free to let friends and family know they should check it out and select strangers that are also tired of it being so hot out there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you have a good week ahead. We will see you all next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.